All right, last but not least now, we have our fifth and final presenter, Ammar Younas from the School of Humanities, University of Chinese Academy of Sciences, whose paper will be the paper title, AI Governance in Eurasia, Insights from Eurasian Traditional Wisdom. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Professor Stephen. It is a great honor and privilege to speak in this forum. And thank you very much to the previous speakers. They have set a perfect background for my presentation, and I will skip now many things and will focus more on some less temporal issues. And hopefully I will try to complete it in 10 minutes. You know that it's always very difficult for philosophers to share something in 15 minutes. So the topic is AI governance in Eurasia. Since I have been a long-term resident of Eurasian region, both as a student and then as a researcher. And now my area of expertise is Eurasian region, more specifically Central Asia and 3 countries in Central Asia. We are working on various projects related to artificial intelligence, societal impact of new innovation technologies in Central Asia, AI ethics and governance mainly. So I wanted to share with the Eurasian audience some of the work which we are doing. This is to set a background for my presentation. As we know that technically speaking, we are standing at a point where we have achieved artificial narrow intelligence. Those of you who have seen Elon Musk last week presented his Optimus, very advanced robot. We can say that it is a manifestation of artificial narrow intelligence. And we are expecting that in very near future, we will be able to achieve artificial general intelligence, which means that we will have robots which will be performing all the human works at a much better speed, at a much better quality. And later on, we will have human too, and then space colonization, and even there is a possibility of human too. And these are not sci-fi things. These are actually things which are happening in academia related to applied sciences, that you will be able to download your consciousness into a robotic body. Now coming to the Eurasia and the technological advancement in Eurasia, I think that this is a very good graph to show, and this is a hype cycle which they update every month or two, which shows that what sort of technologies we are incepting, and to which extent is their mainstream adoption. Unfortunately, we talk about any of these technologies, they are not being manufactured in Central Asia and Eurasian region as a whole. And there are no regulations related to, so far there are no regulations related to the adoption of these technologies, and governments are of course trying. Now, if we talk about some of the issues related to AI governance on more philosophical level, the first and the foremost issue is related to the value system, and this triangle shows how it is a problem. If we talk about artificial intelligence, different regions have different perception about artificial intelligence. For example, in case of China, artificial intelligence and robotic bodies are considered more as a tool. If we talk about Japan, you know that they consider them as a quasi-member of society. I mean, they even have them as a partner. They are using for palliative care and even for some religious rituals. And if we talk about some of the European societies, they consider artificial intelligence and robotic bodies as their enemies. I don't know what is the motivation behind this, but I think that it is because of the sci-fi movies or how they show them in media. So the point which I'm trying to make is that how you perceive artificial intelligence and robotic bodies, it highly depends on the value system and how the people think or are willing to perceive these as a member of their societies. Some of the issues which lead to these problems in Eurasian region. The first problem which you can see that is Euro and Asian, that there is a very thin line that where Europe ends and Asia starts. Of course, I am talking about metaphysical issues about values, and most of the countries they are Muslim, but with a very high number of non-Muslim population, and of course the underlying values are different. Then in terms of uh, if we talk about their lifestyle, you can divide them into nomadic societies and sedentary societies. Even in Central Asia, you can say that, like Uzbekistan is sedentary society, and Kyrgyz and Kazakhs, they are nomadic, which highly influence to their technologies, how they perceive these new innovation technologies, because this lifestyle is motivated by their presence at a specific place at a specific period of time. And when we talk about sustainability of artificial intelligence, this is not a matter of concern for any of them, because there are many more serious issues at present. Standard and preferences are different. And we talk about role of regional and international actors. This is something which almost all of my previous speakers were talking about, so I will not spend time on this. If we talk about academic debates around ethics of artificial intelligence in Eurasia, very quickly I will talk about this, that currently if we see the papers which are coming from Eurasian region, they talk about first topic is morality of technology and morality in technology, means what type of value system we should install inside the machine, and second, that how we should ethically use these new innovation technologies. And coming from these papers, we can see that there are issues related to fairness, biases, stereotypes towards technologies. And very recently we have seen papers who are talking about AI governance in more political sense. And governance with the AI, it is about using technology to govern people. And there are numerous examples and some of the experiments, that some of the countries, I don't want to use the word authoritarian, they are doing this very well. And then the governing AI means technology is being imported, new innovation technologies are coming, and the pace at which laws are being made is very slow in Eurasian region, so they are thinking about governing the AI. All these problems, they melt down to one issue, which in technical arena related to artificial intelligence, we call it as AI alignment problem. AI alignment problems means that how to align the values of robots. Of course, if it takes autonomous decisions, if it is conscious enough to do the even daily household chores, how to align its values with the human values. And when we talk about human values, I am specifically talking about values of the peoples of Eurasian region. So AI alignment problem is the challenge. How to solve this alignment problem? Traditionally, the method to solve this alignment problem was to introduce different principles, uh, ethical principles for artificial intelligence. And this is a very, very old slide in 2018, when they mapped for the very first time different principles available at that time. So what is the idea? Idea is that each region, each country, each fraction of society, even each company should come up with some ethical principles. And based on these ethical principles, they should manufacture the technology, and ultimately they should use the technology based on these principles. So when we found a gap uh, with regard to these ethical principles, we thought about contextualizing legalities related to new innovation technologies in Central Asia, and we introduced, of course, we are now propagating this idea since 2019. So we introduced what we think that is a new branch of jurisprudence called as Central Asia Tech Law. I myself, some of my students and colleagues, they are writing papers. And the idea is that Central Asia should have its own contextualized laws and regulations related to new innovation technologies, because issues are different, standards and preferences are different. That's why when it comes to the laws and regulations and policies, Central Asia should have a contextualized approach under the umbrella of Central Asia Tech Law. This is our new paper published recently in June, in which we proposed for the very first time Central Asian AI ethics principles. And when we talk about Central Asian AI ethics principles, it means that we anticipate that in future, if Central Asia will manufacture technologies, new innovation technologies, they should abide by, or they should consider these principles, which for the very first time we have proposed in our paper. Very quickly, I will just talk about some of these principles. They are related to cultural sensitivity. Of course, we cannot have machine which is doing uh, as per the value information installed by some of the Western countries, for example, because currently the technology which is being used in Eurasian region, to some extent, the machines are they are being installed by the morality which is based on the moral code of some of the Western societies. And then inclusivity, openness, and then sustainable development should be considered, because Central Asian region is very volatile in terms of exploitation. And then we also propose that Central Asian AI ethics principles should not be the general AI ethical principles for all sort of technologies. We can even make them sector specific. Means if you talk about education, if you talk about healthcare, if you talk about, for example, these principles are related to biodiversity, because biodiversity, climate change is a serious issue of Eurasian region. So let's say if you have to make technology based on artificial intelligence, and you want to have ethical principles, so you should come up with own Central Asian AI ethic principles for, let's say, biodiversity, and similarly for other part of the society and for the functional purposes. This is a picture from the paper which I showed you earlier. That on more basic level, we can have AI ethics principles directly evolving from the beliefs and values and customs of people of Central Asia. And then each of the Central Asian country may have their country level ethical principles. And then you may have at regional level different ethical principles, for example, SCO or C5+1 ethical principles, or Eurasian Union or Turkey Council. And some of these organizations, they are very seriously thinking about integration, very seriously thinking about regulatory challenges emerging from different types of new innovation technologies. For the sake of example, I can say that Belt and Road countries, they are thinking about making Belt and Road AI ethics principle. But for the Central Asia, it will be very easy, because their issues are alike, and they may have any approach, on the regional level. And then you should have an integration among all these levels of AI ethics principles, so that the ultimate outcome should be contextualized with the demands of Central Asia and the greater Eurasian region. This is uh, a summary of our AI governance international evaluation index. We call it Agile Index. The first version of this index we released in February this year. And we have these four pillars for this Agile Index. And unfortunately, we were unable to find any country in Eurasian region for which we could get enough data, so that we can do a evaluation of that country. So I call colleagues to look into this, because this Agile Index is the very first attempt of its type. And definitely it will be beneficial not only for Central Asian and Eurasian region, but for the whole world. And if we want that Central Asia should contribute, Eurasian region should contribute to the global discourse related to AI governance. It should think about, contributing towards providing data so that the international organizations or academicians like us could provide a holistic view of what's going on inside this region, and then the applied scientists may develop relevant technologies. So very quickly, I will conclude with three big questions for the audience, that the challenges for the people like us who are thinking about development philosophical level, developing the regulations. We think that these are the three big questions everyone should answer in Central Asia and Eurasian region, that how we can use laws and regulations and governance framework to incentivize AI, because currently you know that all the countries in Eurasian region, they have a defensive position towards new innovation technology. And of course, previous colleagues have talked about different international actors trying to dominate different sectors, including technology as well. So it is a question to think that how we can use laws and regulations to incentivize AI, so that we shouldn't put a halt on the manufacturing and usage of AI and new innovation technologies. And secondly, how do we use laws and policies to regulate the use of new innovation technologies? Because many fractions of societies, they think that there are no laws. We also think that there are not enough laws, and the pace on which technology is being imported from outside is very high. For example, you know that all the facial recognition cameras which are being installed in majority of the Central Asian countries, they are imported by the governments from one company, Huawei, which is a Chinese company, and there are reservations of many people that all these cameras are providing security. What about our privacy? Or the only function of these cameras is to provide security, or they are spying on us? Similarly, it goes with other technologies, for example, 5G, cloud computing, and so on. And finally, we should think about how we can use AI to improve governance. It is not always law which promotes technology. It is not always governance and policy which promotes technology. It is also about technology, to use new technologies, to think that what types of new innovation we should do in our legal system and in governance system. For example, if a conscious robot come, of course it will be, legally speaking, it will be a new subject matter for civil law. So we need to make new laws related to this. So it is not always that law regulates technology. It can be vice versa. We should think about getting insights from new innovation technologies to improve our governance structure in Eurasia and beyond. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very, very much to all the presenters. And I feel I learned a great deal this morning by listening to the fine presentations. And if you're coming from United States in Texas, I presume it's good evening. My apologies. I'm here in Bursace, Greater Istanbul, Turkey. So I would like to open the floor up, so to speak, to our online audiences for questions, comments, clarification points. If I may, I would like to ask Professor Vadim about big Eurasia, right? This concept, and it seems to me you're suggesting that United States of America, by the way, I'm from San Francisco, I'm a San Franciscan, and yes, I do vote by mail in the upcoming election. So you seem somewhat pessimistic from my perspective as an American, that you're saying it is quote unquote inevitable that Washington will no longer be the hegemon. And you seem to welcome a multipolar world. Obviously, from one perspective, and I'll just say American-centric perspective, that seems rather a bold statement to make. And so my question is, could you give us further clarification or details as to your prescience or your claim that, for reasons I'm not entirely clear, the American hegemony is either on its way out or it's best that it is on its way out. So that's my very broad and general question, which is simply in defense, if I may, of the American hegemony. But before you answer my question, let's gather a few questions from the audience because, you know, me playing the devil's advocate, even though I might love my country, you know, as an academic, I am open to criticisms and other worldviews. All right, so let's hear from the audience, if I may. May I call on Dr. Ammar Younas, who's joining us from Tehran, Iran. Anna, go ahead, please.
Yes. Hi, all. Thank you, Professor Steve, and thank you all the presenters for very nice, insightful presentations. I learned a lot. I have 3 questions to make, actually. The first goes for Mrs. I think Stefania from University of Texas. I do not have the names in front of me, sorry, but I have this question that whether, because of the concept she mentioned about hedging regionalism, I would like to know whether we can put 2 other concepts such as minilateralism and open regionalism in that hedging regionalism. Are they on the same track or they are different? My second question goes to Mr. Volvoy from about that big Eurasia concept. I would like to know whether he has read this recent article by Jan Bremer regarding who runs the world, in which he depicts the polarities in another way. I mean, he says that regarding security, still because the United States is the greatest power, the world is unipolar. When it comes to economy, it becomes multipolar. And when it comes to digital, it is bipolar still between China and the United States. So we cannot put the whole context, the whole world system in just one. We cannot, prior, like the Cold War era in which we said there is bipolarity. Now it's not the same. We cannot say that regarding all the concepts we can say it is bipolar, unipolar, etc. We should differentiate. And my last question goes for the last presenter. I have this question that when you talk about AI ethics and you just separate Central Asia, you take it out from the whole continent Asia because of those values. Isn't it possible to put the whole Asia under same umbrella when it comes to ethics? Because many of us share religions, not just the Central Asians. For example, when you look at Iran, the Middle East, they are also Muslims. So we share values within Asia as a whole continent. Is it possible to depict this picture of values between East and West, and putting all the countries of Asia under the same umbrella of Asia? Thank you, Professor. I hope it will be constructive, the questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anna. How about our participant and our guest, B. Palla? B. Palla, would you like to pose some question, clarification point, or make some comments? B. Palla?
That would be
okay. Good. Well, yes, okay. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
If there are no other questions, I would jump in just to talk a little bit about the concept. So thank you, Anna, very much for the question. Of course, open regionalism is, I think, the umbrella term here. It is conceptually very, I think, very broad. Open regionalism basically talks about regional dynamics that are well embedded within the global system. So at a very basic level, regional dynamics that conform to the WTO, for example, trading regimes. So if we have open regionalism, hypothetically, there wouldn't be a problem for Kazakhstan to develop that deep and comprehensive free trade agreement with the European Union and still be a member of the Eurasian Economic Union. That wouldn't have created the crisis in Ukraine, for example, because it could have been very well, a member of both the EU and the Eurasian Economic Union. Open regionalism, and that is why open regionalism does not take into account that, it's not just free trade around the world, but it's actually customs union and deeper levels of integration. In Central Asia, of course, I think at the moment we have this kind of open regionalism that has completely hollowed out the regional level. Hedging regionalism is more strategic than that. So you keep the outside powers engaged, but develop some kind of a legal, regional, local network that forms a regional cluster. So it's much more a foreign policy strategy rather than, a method of regionalization. And minilateralism is a much more political term, I think. It does not create or does not exist based on any premises of structural interdependence. Both are useful, but minilateralism really is not what's happening in Eurasia, in Central Asia, because we have too much focus on developing structured relationships with the Central Asian states. So that's what I could say about hedging. It's an interesting strategy that blends economics and politics, and open regionalism is just trade and minilateralism is just politics. So that would be the brief answer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Stefanova from University of Texas, San Antonio. Next, could I ask Professor Wolf? Sorry.
In English, it would sound G, but it sounds in Lithuanian Volovoy.
Volovoy, okay, Volovoy.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
you are right.
Apologize. I'm from San Francisco, and one of the things many Americans, not all, obviously, we tend to mispronounce people's founding. My apologies, please. So please, Professor Vadim.
So I think people always accept apologies from the people of the United States, and anyone have problems with specific cultures. So first of all, I want to say that I'm very glad, because my purpose was just to make a discussion, and now I already have 2 questions from 2 respected people about concept of big Eurasia. Of course, my point of view is the point for discussion. I can say that I'm sure for 100% that it will happen and that the role of the United States will diminish. But what is my point of view based on? I think that the United States are not anymore in control of world processes, like in Middle East, in Europe, in Ukraine, Russian affairs, in Venezuela, for example, in Iraq, in Afghanistan. So we have many examples which I think show that the United States have definitely problems with hegemonic control of the world, and this is not because they don't want, but this is because I think they can't do that anymore because of different reasons. We could speak a lot about these reasons, discuss a lot these reasons, but what is interesting for me, I made for myself a comparison of the United States of today's with the latest period of the development of the USSR, like in the final decade of the previous age. So I think for now, United States are very similar to the finish of the USSR. It seems like this governmental state unit is still very strong, but it already has many problems and anything may happen. So actually, my point of view is that the United States are very close to the level of perestroika of USSR. And I really wish United States to come out of this perestroika in a better shape than the USSR came out. But to come out in a better shape, I think United States, first of all, must understand for themselves that they have problems, they are not in control anymore, and this will help for them to resolve these problems, to take, like I said, to take a time out, to resolve all, first of all, internal problems, and then come to the world with another view, maybe another values, another role. That's why I think, that's why I said that this development has the tendency for the United States to diminish their role in the world. And what relates to the different polarity in different spheres, I think that already the fact that we have for the United States different polarity in different spheres means that they are not a hegemon anymore. If the United States would be powerful enough to be hegemon in all spheres, security, artificial intelligence, economy, and so on, this would be a hegemony. But the tendency shows that they start to lose their role, this hegemony in different spheres. Somewhere they are still powerful enough. In other spheres, they are not powerful enough. That this shows for me only the fact that they are losing their role, and they have something to do with that, to understand that, to solve that, to become more effective. So my diagnosis is take a time out, resolve your problems, and come back to the world even more powerful and effective.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And last but not least, over to you, Professor Younas.
Yes, thank you very much. The question was that why can't we have AI ethic principles for the whole Asia? That Asia has so many similarities, including religion. So first of all, I would like to mention that we have a very big project. If you will Google linking AI principle, if you will Google this, you will find our website, and we are mapping all the AI ethic principles all around the world. So you can see that they are diverse, and they are popping up. Like every month we have one company or one institution, one country making their own AI ethic principles. So in terms of theory and practice, it is not possible because of several reasons. And one of the reasons I mentioned in my presentation also, when I showed this triangle, where I showed that even Japan and China both are in Asia. They look similar to us. Like if we look at this part of the world, we think that Japanese and Southeast Asian and Chinese, they are same, but they are not same. For example, in China, they consider new innovation technologies, especially robots, as a tool. But if we talk about Japan, they have more sentiments and emotions attached to the machine. You can go on YouTube and you can see people are marrying with the different robots, and even with the holograms. Japanese people, they have started investing their emotions into the machine. So even in Asia, their values are different when it comes to dealing with the and even with the Muslim societies. For example, if you come to my native country, which is Pakistan, in many part of the Pakistan's people still wear very big turban on their head, and many people, they carry a Kalashnikov, and many people, they have a sword. So just imagine that they are just passing through a walk-through gate, or there is a facial recognition technology, and when they are passing through this gate, it will recognize this person as a threat, but it is culturally very much acceptable in our part of the world. So if you have imported Japanese, let's say Chinese facial recognition technology into your country, let's say Pakistan, and you are walking through this gate and you have this turban, he will think that he's carrying a bomb on his head. So it's very difficult in terms of practicalities as well. And then there are other issues my previous colleagues have mentioned about economic disparities, political hegemony, authoritarianism, at a regional level and so on, that once you make AI ethic principles, you make technology, you install these into that technological systems, then there is no option rather than to accept the full package. So now making it less philosophical, let me give you an example that when you import technology, let's say in Uzbekistan or Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, yes, when you import a machine, you also import the laws and regulations which come with this machine, and these laws and regulations are also manufactured by those people who have manufactured this technology. So that's why we should have a contextualized approach. Everyone should have its own values embedded into the machine. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Professor Younas. And I would like to take the remaining 30 seconds or so to thank our audience and to thank the presenters. I am not sure what happened to our first presenter, but thank you to all the four remaining presenters for joining us, participating on this online panel, Theoretical and Conceptual Framework. I believe the missing few words are of Eurasian Studies. Okay, well, welcome back, Professor 𝐶𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐚 from.
Yeah. I was here. I just had a problem with the camera and connection.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to exclude you or anyone.
No problem. Yeah. No.
I thank you everyone for participating, and I hope to see you sometime in the future right here at Ibn Haldun University, if not at least on another online panel. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.